Here in my hands I have The Creator on 4K UHD. It just got a release in the UK, and it has me asking the question after rewatching it: has this film saved science fiction cinema? Has it injected some new life into science fiction on the big screen after, let's be honest, a bit of a malaise after so many repetitive sequels of existing franchises? I've seen a number of people actually herald this as one of the most original science fiction films that they've seen in recent times. And yes, it's original in the sense that it isn't from an existing IP, it isn't a sequel, it isn't based off a novel or a comic book, but is it actually original at all in the ideas that are presented in this film? If you're not familiar, the film is about artificial intelligence. It's about a future war between the East and the West on Earth. After a nuclear bomb is detonated in Los Angeles, AI gets outlawed in the West, but there is potentially a chosen one, this child who will bring an end to the war and will save humanity. Make no mistake, this film wears its influences on its sleeve. There is Akira, there is Star Wars, basically any story about artificial intelligence, I feel like this draws something from. So this might sound like I'm about to say that this is not a good film, that it's a bad film, it's unoriginal, etc. Actually, on the contrary, because the film has some qualities to it which keep drawing me back. You know, I've seen it twice now, and I don't feel like I fully connected with the film, but one of the things that does keep bringing me back is the look and feel of the film. Gareth Edwards is great at world building and creating a sense of atmosphere through the visuals, through set design, and in this film you feel like you are watching something that could potentially happen. It isn't one of those films that is glaringly obviously filmed on green screen in every single scene. That brings me onto this 4K disc that I am holding up for this whole video. It does look beautiful on the disc. The film was shot digitally, but it has this film grain aesthetic to it. The filmmakers shot using digital cameras that could reach high levels of ISO, so there is this digital noise in the image. And I read that Edwards originally did want to shoot this on film, but I think it would have been far too expensive for them to do, or just impractical. So that's to say that they've made it look a bit like film, even though it wasn't shot on film. I think it helps ground the film because while it's set in the future, in the 2060s, it's a feeling of the future from the past. And Edwards has talked about this. This is the science fiction futures of the 1980s. You know, what people thought the future would be like decades ago. So I think that visual style of the film really helps kind of aid the atmosphere, and it looks beautiful on the 4K presentation on this disc. I said that I'm still struggling to connect fully with the film after 2 watches, and that's just down to the characters. And I don't know if it's me or if it's the film, but I feel like the characters, they're very hard to grab onto. It feels like there isn't too much in terms of progression in these characters. It almost feels like they're not making many decisions as well. Things are just sort of happening to them and they are going along for the ride, and that makes it not that engaging. At times the dialogue is also way too on the nose. You know, it feels like you're being fed exposition for the sake of progressing the story. And I know that that's something that Hollywood really pushes on filmmakers, that they need to make it clear to the dumbest of audiences what is happening on screen. Performance-wise, John David Washington is good in this film. Again, I feel like his character isn't given enough to kind of grow and grab onto. So it almost feels like this role could have been played by many people, and maybe that's because the film is just too big in its ideas. Maybe these are characters that would have been better explored in a different format, maybe in a longer mini-series, maybe in a novel, a graphic novel, I don't know what. So all of that said, I do enjoy this film, particularly for that visual style. It looks stunning, great world building. I'm actually a huge fan of Gareth Edwards. I've even got his Godzilla 2014 on 4K Blu-ray, which I think is an underrated sort of post-human masterpiece, which is not a very common opinion about that film. So is this the kind of film that has saved science fiction storytelling in cinema? Well, I really hope we see more of this, because even though it may not be completely original in its ideas, and I mean, that's very difficult to do when almost everything has been explored, it was still a breath of fresh air in a space in the industry that has been occupied by these big franchises. Also, on this release, there is a making of documentary that's almost an hour long that goes into the making of the film, which was, very enlightening. If you fancy checking out this film on the 4K disc, I'll include some purchasing links in the description of the video down below. If you use those, it helps support this channel at no additional cost to you, so thank you very much. Do let me know your thoughts on the film, what you thought of it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Is it a good science fiction film? I'd love to hear from you in the comments section below. If you want to stick around on the channel and get some more 4K Blu-ray recommendations from me, then just click the video that's on screen right now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.